Bismillah, alhamdulillah, assalatu wassalam ala rasulillah, nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to my new series, 30 Du'as that Changed the World. My name's Ustad Suhail and I'll be your host for this series where we will be exploring, insha'Allah, 30 fascinating du'as from the Quran that literally changed the course of history. In particular, we'll be looking at the du'as of the prophets, alayhimus salam, the most remarkable human beings in human history, individuals who invoked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who made du'a to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their most intimate moments of need. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded. In particular, we'll be looking at the du'a of Adam alayhi salam. Now just think for a moment, what would happen to all human beings if when Adam alayhi salam had asked for forgiveness for his mistake, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hadn't forgiven him? We'll be looking at the du'a of Nuh alayhi salam, which led to the great flood that wiped out all people except that small band of believers with Nuh alayhi salam. We'll be looking at the du'a of Ibrahim alayhi salam that transformed Makkah from a hostile, isolated desert to the thriving spiritual homeland of believers till this very day. And we'll be looking at the du'a of Musa alayhi salam that demolished the power base of the Pharaoh and his civilization, one of the most ancient and powerful civilizations in our history, and destroyed Pharaoh and his armies. We'll also be looking at the du'as of the righteous people in the Quran. For example, the du'a of Asiya radiallahu anha, the wife of Pharaoh and the foster mother of Musa alayhi salam. We'll also be looking at the du'as of the angels. Can you believe that the angels that bear the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who are closest in proximity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are constantly asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness for the believers? What an honor for us. And also, we'll be looking at the du'as of shaitan, the du'as of Iblis, the du'as of Satan. Does he make du'as in the Quran? Yes, you'd better believe it. In two verses in the Quran, in Surah Hijr, verse 36, and also Surah Sa'd, verse 79, Shaitan says, قَالَ رَبِّي فَأَنظِرْنِي إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ. He said, my Lord, then reprieve me until the day when they are resurrected. When he is expelled from paradise, he actually makes a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He invokes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does that tell us? What can we infer from that? That all created beings, human beings, jinn, believers, disbelievers, atheists, agnostics, whoever you are, imprinted on your soul is the core belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The core belief that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you, sustains you, and most importantly, in times of extreme hardship and need and difficulty, you will instinctively turn back to that Lord who created you. It's something which is imprinted on your soul. It's something which is involuntary. It's something you don't even have control over. So shaitan, Iblis, Satan, the worst of all creation, turns to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and makes dua to him. All human beings, when they feel their life is under threat, under extreme pressure and hardship, they turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the Quran, in Surah Al-A'raf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained that before even bringing human beings and the whole of creation into existence, He drew out their souls and He said, Alastu bi rabbikum? Am I not your Lord? And all of us, including me, including you, your families, everyone, everybody in society turned around and said, Bala, yes indeed you are. From that moment on, it's imprinted on your soul to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's something almost involuntary. And it's something that people suppress and quash until it comes out in a time of need when you know that you have nobody else to turn to except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This series will also be a valuable opportunity for us to delve in tafsir mawdu'i, what's called thematic tafsir. We are going to be selecting du'as which are from the Quran, and this will give us a valuable opportunity to delve into the meanings of those verses of the Quran. Most of us, when we're reciting the Quran, we go from verse to verse, surah to surah, chapter to chapter. Of course, that's the standard way of reciting the Quran. But what's one of the most thoroughly enjoyable and fascinating aspects of your connection to the Quran is when you take a thematic approach to the Quran. We're going to be taking one subject, dua, and scanning and analyzing the entire Quran to select verses which focus on dua. You could do the same for parables in the Quran. You could do the same for spirituality in the Quran. It's one of the most rewarding experiences when you analyze the Quran for a specific subject and take a thematic approach to reciting and reading and understanding the Quran. So let's start off with some basic definitions. Dua, funnily enough, is an Arabic word which most people find easier to understand in Arabic than the English translations. It's often translated as invocation, prayers, invoking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It actually is derived from a root Arabic word which means da'a, to summon or to call upon. Now, the word dua comes in different contexts in the Quran. Sometimes it can mean seeking aid, a request, a call, praise, speech, and even a question. But all of those revolve around the same basic concept of turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and asking His help. Now, when we look at the classical definitions given by the scholars on the word dua, we'll see something very interesting. The scholars tend to focus not just on the asking aspect, which we all focus and concentrate on. They also focus on your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the feeling of submissiveness and vulnerability that you present before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how you glorify and praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does that tell us? It tells us that sometimes we have a skewed perspective about dua. We focus on whether Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will respond. We don't focus on ourselves. We don't focus on our own relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't need to worry about whether Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will respond. He has always responded and will continue to respond. That's one of the reasons we're looking at the du'as of the prophets, to see how in the most unbelievable, stressful situations where there seems to be no way out, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala found a way out for believers who call upon Him. We need to worry less about whether Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will respond, because He always responds and He promised to respond. We need to worry about ourselves. We need to worry about whether we are presenting ourselves as truly submissive and vulnerable in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to worry about whether we are truly glorifying and praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as part of our dua. Now, one example I wanted to bring before you, it's not actually a dua from the Quran, but it's a dua from the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. Now picture the scene. The Prophet ﷺ is standing at the plain of Badr the night before a great battle. He was not expecting a battle. He simply had around 313 men with him, just literally a couple of horses and some basic weapons. And he sees across the plain of Badr an army of 1,000 Quraysh soldiers, heavily armed and equipped with armor, swords, horses, javelins. And he stands before looking at them, stands in the night, and he raises his hands and he makes dua. He makes a most profound dua. Allahumma ajizli ma wa'adtani. Allahumma anjizli ma wa'adtani. Allahumma ati ma wa'adtani. Allahumma in tuhlik hadhihi al-isaba min ahli al-Islam la tu'bad fil ard. What a powerful dua. The rough translation of that dua, oh Allah, grant me what you have promised me. Oh Allah, give me what you have promised me. Oh Allah, if this small band of believers is annihilated today, you will not be worshipped on the earth. Subhanallah. The Prophet ﷺ said this dua the entire night before the battle. It's one of the rare occasions where he raised his hands outstretched and kept on repeating that dua. He kept on repeating over and over again, Allahumma in tuhlik hadhihi al-isaba min ahli al-Islam la tu'bad fil ard. What does this dua really teach us? We tend to make dua as in a last resort. I've tried everything else, it doesn't really work. Why not just pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and make dua to Him? No. Make dua with true conviction, with true sense of submissiveness. That, oh Allah, if you don't respond, there is absolutely no option for me. There is no way out for me. There is no recourse for me to achieve what I need. Oh Allah, I'm turning to you first. I'm turning to you last. Oh Allah, I beg you to respond to me because nobody else can respond to me. There is no way out for me. That is the conviction, the certainty, the submissiveness with which we make dua. Don't worry about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responding. He always responds and He has promised to respond. Worry about yourself, how your heart is attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether the certainty is actually there. And cut off all other possibilities, all other backup plans, all other plan Bs. There is only one plan, which is to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and seek and beseech His help. Inshallah, in the next episode, we'll be looking at the relationship of dua to tawheed and shirk and the centrality it occupies in our creed. I look forward to speaking to you then. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.